Welcome to 5 Good Minutes.
You're listening to today's inspirational message on the book of Daniel
with Kurt Bjorklund.
So now we come to a turning point in the book where the first 6 chapters of Daniel have been these narratives about Daniel and his friends living in exile. And then we move really into these visions that are coming, which are more prophetic. But there's something that I want to say, and again, if you've been around Orchard Hill, you've certainly heard me say this from time to time, and that is the point of Old Testament teaching and narratives is not to say be like Daniel or be like Joseph or be like David. That's using these stories a little bit like Aesop's fable, saying, well, here's a good person and here's the good things that happen, so be like them and good things will happen to you. And the point of these passages is to teach us about God. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't inspire us to be courageous or to say, how can I have a public faith instead of a private faith? Or how can I be a person who has but if not faith? But the point of all of it is not do it because they did it and you'll have good results like them. The point is ultimately to help us see who God is and to have faith in the God of the universe. So the point of these early stories in Daniel, I believe, is not to inspire you to dare to be a Daniel, but it's to say there is a God who is true, who is worthy of worship, and is reliable and faithful and powerful above all earthly forces. And there will be a lot of things that will happen in your life that will make you think it is not so, but don't believe it because it is so. And when you base your life on that God rather than on your immediate perception, then that God will prove himself faithful in your life in ways that you can't always see, can't always understand. And I believe that's actually one of the hardest things for us to do because there are so many factors that tell us that God is not trustworthy. And there are so many ways that we're prone to just say, I'll wrest control of this area of my life rather than continuing to trust the God of the Bible. And again, what these stories do is they just raise our sights to see who God is. Maybe just as a way, if you've been tracking with this study, these 5 good minutes, is to ask you to take a few more minutes later today sometime and just go through Daniel 1 through 6 and just identify the ways that you see God and just say, this is who God is. This is who I affirm God to be. And let that be a way of raising your sights from this earth to what's above, because what was true for Daniel, for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, for these stories is people were able to see beyond their current situation and see God, and as a result to act in accordance with that reality rather than just the reality that was right in front of them, because they knew that the reality of God was the ultimate reality, the one that mattered more, the one that was more certain than the thing that they could see. And what I need to be reminded of, perhaps what you need to be reminded of, is that the God of the universe is the reality that is actually more important than what it is that I can see right in front of me, and is more trustworthy than even my own capacity to navigate or negotiate my way through the trials and the difficulties of this world. And that helps us understand something about these first 6 chapters of Daniel.
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.